Hey, what's up, guys? Let's make this video about how I overcame, crippling social anxiety. So I'm someone who, when I grew up, when I was younger, I had a lot of social anxiety. Very scared, very nervous to talk to girls. Was like I remember in middle school and like even like high school, man. I'd be like a pretty girl had to ask me for something or whatever. I'd be like shaking, my face trembling, shit like that. And I know it's a horrible feeling. And so even though I've overcame that now, I still will never forget those days. And just being super shy. I remember also one time I was younger, my dad was like, "All right, guys, well, to us kids, he's like, all right, well, if you want, like, we're at the water park or something. If you want ice cream or something, you have to go ask the man for ice cream. Like, here's the money, but you got to go get it." And I remember I was so scared. I ended up not getting ice cream because of this crippling social anxiety, man. So, yeah, that was an example when I was younger, but it definitely continued for a while. And luckily, there are steps I chose to overcome it. And here I am about to tell you. So, realize, guys, that this is something, first of all, yeah, we got to realize that this is something that is kind of like passed down through generations in the sense that back when we lived in tribes, right? We had to have this social anxiety because you know why? If you got kicked out of the tribe because you said something stupid or whatever, you're on your own. You're in the fucking wilderness now, and you're gonna die because back when we used to live in tribes, that was our society was what protected us, right? So when we're no longer in that tribe, then we're out and living ourselves in the wilderness. Sorry, I'm having a hard time speaking right now. I just ate some food, but now instead of living in a group of 20, 30, 40, 50 people, you're on your own. So animals are going to kill you. You're going to die from the elements or whatever. So that's why we have this social anxiety. It's from being passed down. It's a survival instinct, okay? So realize that that's where all this comes from. But anyway, so here's some tactics I did want to get out of my crippling social anxiety. First of all, I remember when I was in college, the first job I got in college was a job at a restaurant, okay? So if you get a job, and if you have a job and you don't want to give up your job for something that makes you work with people, then you can always volunteer. But if you could get a job where you're forced to interact with people, you're forced to just person after person after person. Okay. So, like at a restaurant, being a server, being a bartender. Of course, you need some experience to get into those things, but you can also be a host at first, or you can be a busser and work your way through. Or even as a host, you're going to be interacting with people. As a busser, not as much, but you will. So think about what kind of job do you have right now? Do you have a job that's like you're not interacting with people at all, or can you get a job or volunteer somewhere where you're forced to interact with people? That's going to be the biggest thing. 'Cause then you're going to just be like motivated by the money to keep interacting with people. And cool thing about a job or like volunteering, you're wearing a role. You're playing a role, right? So you're playing a role of server or waiter, whatever you want to call it. You're expected to act a certain way, right? You're playing the role of bartender. You're expected to be social. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if you're um, put yourself in a role where you're expected to be social, and you're gonna start playing a role, kind of like an actor, right? It's like you tell an actor, "Oh, hey, play the role of this person." They're gonna act like that. "Oh, play the role of that person." Us as people, we're not normal person people or actors. You can become an actor, so to speak, with the job or role you're assigned, right? So that's something that definitely helped out. I remember when I first started, like as like a server, after busing, because I was working really hard. The GM was like, "Hey man, you remind me of myself when I was younger. Like I'm gonna promote you to being a server." And I remember I was so nervous. I remember clearly me going through those training shifts where I was learning how to serve, and just like being so scared and just so nervous with people. But man, through the reps and the reps and the reps and the reps, you get to be like, man, I don't give a fuck. Like now, guys, like I don't like you don't care as much, man, because if you've done something hundreds of times or thousands of times, it's not. Yeah, sometimes the feeling of being nervous never fully leaves, but guess what? It's gonna go down smaller and smaller and smaller, which leads me to another story real quick just about like exposure and stuff. So when I turned 18, I went skydiving for the first time. And of course, you're in skydiving, it's scary, man. It's very nerve wracking. But I decided because I was so scared that I wanted to eventually get my license and learn how to do this as like a challenge to myself. And because I thought maybe I was like 18 years old, I thought maybe girls like that. Plus, I thought it was cool too. But I was like, man, this would be fucking sick. Anyways, so it didn't take me until it's about 80 or 90 skydives to realize that okay, I think I'm okay. I'm not gonna fall through the harness when I'm jumping or whatever. My parachute's gonna open. But every jump until then, I was very scared. I was very nervous. So it takes a while before, and really embraces the fact that it takes a while before, you know, it's not as scary anymore. So embrace it. Embrace every time you try to be social or try to step out of your comfort zone and be like, hey, all right, this is just one chip. I'm chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. You're not gonna watch a fucking video and magically, just like that, you know, feel differently. I hate to say it, but we gotta be honest here. This is gonna help you, of course, because this is my story, how I overcame my social anxiety. Here I am now. I'm talking to fucking camera, putting this out in the world, and for you to see and judge me and whatnot. And I don't care. I don't care if you think I look like an idiot right now. So that's another good point too. Creating YouTube videos or content, man, when you're putting yourself in front of a camera and speaking and be like, all right, cool, here you are, world. You can judge me, say whatever you want, write these comments. It kind of helps you out a lot in that sense too. So that's something definitely helps out. Also, what else, man? Just also, I feel like forcing myself, just being like, all right, cool. I have this thing where I'm not feeling great socially. I have this anxiety, but just forcing myself to do the things that make me feel uncomfortable and also just taking little steps, step by step by step. And eventually it becomes not scary anymore. So for example, when I wanted to learn how to cold approach women that I found attractive, if you're at a stage where you're like not, you're just like, man, fuck this, I cannot do that. Let's not jump in the deep end. Maybe sometimes it helps out. I think a lot of people does help out, just jump in the deep end and just go for it. Because then you realize once you jump in, remember like you're at the edge of a pool or like a whatever, you're about to go to a cold shower. You're like, man, I know it's cold, it's gonna suck, but you just like fuck it. You just go in and you're like, okay, it's a shock for a second, a couple seconds, and you're like, oh wow, actually feels great. I'm glad I did this. Why did I do this sooner? Same thing with the social anxiety and whatnot. But with the cold approaching, when I want to learn how to do that, I didn't just step right in. All right, let's go for like the hardest situation, a group of like the hottest girls ever. No, what you do, if you're nervous, you go and start step one. Okay, let me ask that old lady over there. What time is it right now? Hey, what time is it? Oh, thank you so much. Okay, all right, let's bump up a notch now. Okay, let's ask that mom over there. Hey, what time is it or whatever, and you start kind of step by step by step. Eventually, you're trying to have conversations with people. So you start from, okay, I asked what time, I didn't die, I'm good. Let's make this a little more harder, harder, harder. And eventually, you get to the point where like, all right, cool. Well, I can talk to these people, these grandma, grandpa. I can talk to like the mom with the stroller. I can talk to, the middle aged man over there with the dog. I can talk to the cashier. Just start doing something that where you're just kind of taking a little like you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone little by little by little by little by little. And then before you know it, you look back a month and you're like, wow, a month went by. I did these little social experiments and I didn't die. I feel way better about myself. That's how you, that's the safe way. And honestly, it's consistent too. It's got to be consistent with stuff. But if you take these little steps of getting better each and every interaction, kind of learning, oh, okay, maybe I got to speak louder. I got to look at them more in the eyes stronger, or maybe I'm making too much eye contact. And just don't be too hard on yourself. But just like maybe after every interaction, be like, all right, that was a 1,000 out of 10 interaction. You know why? Because I had the balls to go do that thing that scared me before. But now let's think how I can do it better next time. Um, so that's a great way. Stack up these little wins, guys. The winning effect is real. Look into the winning effect. That's a huge thing into like success and whatnot. Stacking up these little wins, and eventually it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Also, we can do is just honestly, guys, just realize that we're here for a short time out on Earth. No one's gonna kill you for going up to talk to them. If anything, a lot of people are with their phones and shit. They're glued to their phones. They find it so refreshing and someone has the confidence to go up to them and talk to them. So think of it that way, guys. Think of it in the way that we're gonna die. You don't know if you're gonna wake up tomorrow. You don't know if within a year you're gonna have some some disease that's going to kill you or make you bedridden. Just think about people who have lived this life and are no longer here. You know, it's like cool. They're no longer here. Like no one, they could have been the most like crazy motherfucker out there. Everyone judged them, but now they're dead. And like, what's anyone gonna do about them? You know? Um. So yeah, guys, just think about it. Like, hey, this is something you can do. If I can do this shit, you can do it too. I promise. But if you want more help with this or you like this video, shoot me a text. My number is 786 897 4754. Peace.